Shall we go? Okay.
Let's go.
Well, thank you everyone for joining today. I have the opportunity to be with Yahui. We are going to discuss about building SaaS services with CHAOSS technology. There are 2, 3, 4 products out there, and we would like to share with you this concept of basically innovation through open source communities. My name is Daniel Izquierdo. I'm one of the co-founders of the CHAOSS community, founder as well of the Vitergia software analytics company. I'm part of the Inner Source Commons. I'm the president of the Inner Source Commons Foundation, so if you have any thoughts on Inner Source, happy to discuss about them. Then we have with us Yahui.
Yep. Hello everyone, my name is Yahui. I'm come from China, and I'm from Huawei, by the way. And I'm the co-founder of the OS Compass, which is a SaaS service based on the CHAOSS technology, and also the key component provided by Vitergia. And also I'm a member of a CHAOSS community. I'm very happy to hear and to share some experience we got in recent years. Yep.
Thank you all.
This is my turn. Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, we just launched out a survey for our CHAOSS community to help us to do some survey. If you already use some metrics model or tools provided by CHAOSS community, tell us what barriers you have met, and tell us what thing we can do to improve all those things. So the deadline is just closed recently. To please help us, give us some feedback, and we will try our best to make the improvement. Thank you.
Yep. By the way, if you have any thoughts on software, on data in general, so we have our director of data science from the CHAOSS community, Dawn Foster. So she's here. Yeah, thank you.
By the way, we have QR code here. You can scan at any time you have.
Yeah.
Because we always put it in the right corner here.
Yeah. So really quick, what is CHAOSS? Basically, the first CHAOSS, the acronym is for Community Health Analytics for Open Source Software, right? So the first question we have on the table is, what is community health? So.
Yeah. So many people are our users who care about the community health. So here you can see the individual contributors and the community managers, maintainers, and companies. I think except for that, we also have many people from universities, like researchers. They care about all things happened in the open source because it's a key part to happen, make people collaborate with each other. So it's very useful for those people, and also it's very useful for people who want to invest a startup company, which provides some backend support for the open source project. Yep.
Indeed, the concept of health is basically something subjective probably to our minds. So we try to define what health means with a metric. That's something that, well, we may bring with 10, 15 metrics, right? So this is what we are trying to define in CHAOSS. So far, there are different working groups. We have, for instance, diversity and inclusion. We have a risk working group. We have a working group now focused on OSPOS, open source program offices, right? We have a working group that right started on OSPOS at universities, what open source means for universities. And there are some others. As well, this is like the place where we are defining metrics, let's say, from a technological agnostic point of view. But now we have the software, which is part of the conversation that we are having nowadays. So the goals of the community, as you can see here, is basically we are defining metrics, we are defining metrics models. We'll see some examples later, with the goal of measuring this concept of open source health. We want to produce open source software, which is part of the, let's say, the DNA of the community as well. We want to bring industrial partners, we want to bring universities, we want to bring individuals, we want to bring open source foundations to help us to define this. So we'll share with you some references later.
Yeah. Okay, I think we just showed the whole milestones what happened in the past 6 years. And I think it's, actually I'm just drawing this community 2 years ago. So some people from CHAOSS, as old people, like co-founders like Daniels, Dawn and Shen, they told me, when they're talking about how to set up the community to measure the health of the open source, And it just happened a conversation simply in 2017, North American Open Source Summit, just like today. We have a conversation and okay, go. And we have such community set up. And our first release of CHAOSS metrics happened like 4 years ago, 2019. And at the very beginning, I think we just have 30 metrics released. But right now, we have almost like 100 metrics released, and plus 11 metrics model released. And when I joined the community 2 years ago, we started this translation work, translate from English to Chinese and to some other languages. And our first Chinese version was released just after 6 months later. And we are very happy to continue on moving forward and continue our career. So we call ourselves, the member of community as a chaotic. So I'm proud of such name.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you for the great work.
Yeah.
Moving forward, so again, this discussion about metrics, we have software, so we are now starting with software in the discussion. All the metrics, are they implemented in software? The answer is no, they are not. All the software is basically covered by the metrics. No, the answer is no. There is certain intersection, so we are working on that. It happens that there is so much data available out there. Thank you. Basically there is so much data out there that is really hard to, let's say, formalize all of that information, right? So we are moving forward. We are discovering the metrics, let's say, that make sense for different personas, let's say, in the community, and we are slowly covering all of that spectrum of metrics.
Yeah. So here's a website we provide all the metrics we have and all the metrics model we have. You can see that some metrics relate to the event we list all here. And we also have some governance, leadership, and contribution part. So we divided into the different domains. And also we have some metrics model in the bottom right corner. We have all the metrics models. So later on, we will show you some examples we use in our real quick case.
And now let's move to technology. For the records, there is another project called Ogor. Ogor and Grimoire Lab both started, Ogor started a bit later, maybe, right? But both projects started at the same time in CHAOSS community. Those are doing slightly different things, but Grimoire Lab is the project I know, so this is what we are discussing. And then basically OSS Compass started and was built on top of Grimoire Lab, which is part of conversation today. So really quick, some key features, if we can say so. If you think about open source communities, what you have are a variety of data sources. And then when you are entering those data sources, GitHub, Jira, Slack, Twitter, some others, basically all the CI/CD, you have an identity in each of them. So there is a tool specifically that is taking care of all of the identities and affiliation, so then you can have an overview of who is who basically in the community. So that's one thing. Then Grimoire Lab covers more than 30 different data sources. So there is covering 90% of the usual data sources that we can see in open source world. And then there are 70 plus different dashboards, use cases that are there out of the box. The tool is really flexible, so think of this as a NoSQL database, basically, with full of different databases, information coming from this. And then what is helping you, Grimoire Lab, is basically to reduce the complexity of first gathering all the data, forget about APIs, logs, etc. You don't have to take care about incremental support. It's giving you all the historical information from the very beginning of that data source. So on and so forth. A bit of the architecture really quick. So from left to right, basically, is the usual data mining process, right? Left part, we have all the data sources that I already mentioned, Stack Overflow, Docker Hub, some others. There is a piece that is gathering all the information and storing that into JSON format, JSON schema. And then this is later basically moved into Sorting Hat, which is a tool that is in charge of all of the identities and affiliations. Remember, we're in Europe, GDPR ready, so we need to take care of all of this, opt-in, opt-out, part of the law. We need to take care. And then the rest of the information is basically two types of indexes or databases. Raw information, as this is coming from the original data source, and then enrich information, which is then one of the advantages of using Grimoire Lab, which is you have information way much closer to the business layer, let's say, of software development, right? So this is more or less the thing. And then at the end, of course, you can have reports, visualizations, etc., etc. Yeah. All the technology is running on top of OpenSearch, which is another open source project by Amazon Web Services. Used to be Elasticsearch. They decided to change the license, no open source anymore. So, okay. Okay, services born from Grimoire Lab, really quick. We are good with time. So Cauldron.io was a service run by Vitergia. So we have Grimoire Lab, which is the open source project, Cauldron.io, which is one of the SaaS services. Then we have Vitergia Analytics, which is another tool, in this case provided by Vitergia, in this case covered by ISO standards, quality, security, all of this, to provide SaaS services, but to large corporations with certain warranties, let's say. There are other dashboards, Mighty Community, Mystic by Rochester Institute of Technology, LFX Insights. By the way, is an interesting aspect here is that this is a proprietary solution by the Linux Foundation. Initially built on Grimoire Lab, but they decided to evolve the technology. So then they are using other things, but inspired initially in CHAOSS technology, which is good. And then OSS Compass finally. So moving forward. If you remember this chart here, then we go into some of the numbers, a bit more of historical background. All of this started at the university. So 2000, the research group LibreSoft that was studying free software engineering basically, started, let's say, operations. 2006, we started the tooling Metrics Grimoire. This was the time when I joined the research group. And then in 2012, that was when Vitergia was founded. Okay, so then we have like 12 years for research. It was not in the DNA of the group, let's say, to industrialize, to make a product of the existing research. So let's say it just happened, right? There is a certain alignment of all of the planets in the world, and then we say, okay, this may happen at some point. And then we go into 2015, we decided to migrate the technology to a new thing. So then Grimoire Lab was born, and then 2017 we have CHAOSS. And then after 2017 to nowadays, we have all of these projects, right, that I mentioned. So Cauldron, FX Insights, Mautic, and some others. Let me represent this in a more chronological order. So please, go ahead. Yeah. Okay, we have this line here. On the left, those are the 12 years, research and development, mainly doing this. Then we have research in production, which is basically in Vitergia. What we were doing was to test the market. Does it make sense? Is someone putting some money on the table, so then they buy a service? And then CHAOSS started in 2017. And then finally we have all of these services. So if you think about this, right, we have 16 years of research plus testing in production somehow. And then and this is what I would say, and this is again anecdotal data for today, but we need to look probably at research or so. After all of this, let's say 16 years, only in 4 years, what we have is 4 services built on top of existing technology. Why is that happening? My thing is that it's because CHAOSS basically. CHAOSS brought so much visibility to the technology that we started to have adopters. So I would say is, first, you can build on top of 16 years of work, something that took a few months perhaps, a couple of years. We'll see some results from OSS Compass as an example. But then at the same time, you can think of, thanks to open source, you are basically having all of that innovation, and then ideally you are contributing back. Okay? So you are bringing back innovation to the community. So then it's not only that we did all of this research and production, but then we are having back that innovation from other thoughts, community members, and so on and so forth. So, yeah. And then we go into OSS Compass. So all yours.
Yeah, it's my part. So first I will use these slides to introduce the relationship between the OSS Compass and the CHAOSS. So first, OSS Compass is open source community. It provides 2 main artifacts. First is a SaaS platform, and which is provided for everyone to use for free. And I will use next few slides to introduce that later. And there's another artifact, we call it OSS ecosystem evaluation system. So this is the theoretical framework. And as you know that CHAOSS, we provide some metrics, which is some atomic indicators. And we also provide some metrics models which combine a bunch of metrics into one metrics model to describe a user story specifically. And also, our OSS ecosystem, this theoretical framework, we just combine those metrics and metrics model into a system. But it's not just a simple list. So I do a research work for this area. I mean, the evaluation in open source in the past 30 years from the economic, the research output, I found that there exists two main streams about open source evaluation. The first is initialized from last century. It's more care about the code quality. It's nothing different with our commercial product per se. And also, and the second mainstream is coming from the beginning of this century. And it's more care about the collaboration happened in its own community. It's about responsiveness of users, of contributors. And after 10 years, because more and more commercial companies like BitDrea, Huawei, and many other commercial companies start joining open source work, leading the open source community. So they are more care about ecosystem built around the open source community, no matter upstream or downstream. So the third mainstream, they are more care about the collaboration of happened at the ecosystem. So our theoretical framework to choose using the third mainstream, so we call it ecosystem evaluation system. And we have three dimensions. First, productivity. Second, robustness, niche creation. Okay, and in the next few slides, I will introduce a bunch of these things. Yep. Okay, and currently in our ecosystem evaluation system, we have total four metrics models. Not all so far, but we will continue to produce more metrics models. But what we should focus on right now, as a first priority, I think it should be the collaboration, because we believe the collaboration is the key part of the open source. So no matter from the internally collaboration and externally collaborations, we should focus on that first. So we start from the first one, collaboration development index. It's evaluate the code development process inside of the community to see how smoothness of collaborations happened in this community. And we use another metric model called community service and support. We use this metrics model to say, okay, if you want your contributors from your community to collaborate smoothly, what kind of service and support you can provide to your contributors? We would mirror their capacities provided by this community. And secondly, and the next is organization activity. We use this metrics model to mirror the ecosystem collaborations from the upstream and downstream. Because we believe in one community, and the open source, if treated as a platform, they must have some downstream and upstream collaborations, and stands from the organizations, collaborations. So we will monitoring and evaluate their activities in this community. And also we have some, a first one, we call it community activity. It's a relatively comprehensive metrics model. We use this metrics model to give the overview evaluation for the whole community. So currently we totally have 4 metrics model. And in our bottom box, we show our algorithm used in this metrics model, because as you know that all the metrics model, you can treat them as a method in program language. Metrics are the input, and the metrics model are the output or return values. So for each of single metrics weight, we use HP to calculate this weight. And for the output of the metrics model, we choose this algorithm. Actually, this is created by Rob Pike, who's a very respectful people from I remember he just retired several years ago, but he do a lot of contribution on this part. So we decided to use this algorithm to as our algorithm of the metrics model, and we do make some improvement, but anyway, we initialize to use this as our default algorithm to calculate the metrics model. But I think in the near future, we will provide a more flexible algorithm coming from the different people and maybe from the researchers, from the students. Well, welcome to these solutions. Anyway, yeah, this is the home page we have of the OSS Compass. On top, we provide URL here, and in the bottom right corner, we provide scan code to help you to just locate the URL easily. But anyway, as you can see, that this is the whole page. We quite simply, we just provide a search box to help you. All you need to do is just type the interesting project located on GitHub or Git, found it, and to check out the inside report based on the 4 metrics model I just introduced before. And in case you didn't find that, it doesn't matter, because in the top right corner, in this homepage, you can submit your interested project or communities. So, as so far, we already covered most 50,000 GitHub projects, and which is across almost 300 technical domains already. So if you have, you may find something you have interest on that. So you can touch one single repository URL, or you can type an organization URL of GitHub. So because we provide a repo level or organization level monitoring on GitHub and Git. So next, I will use 3 main pages to explain what kind of service we provide for all of you. The first page is about Insight Dashboard. This is just a detailed model result for each of single repositories or communities. It provides value explorations or risk perceptions. And meanwhile, we also provide some Compass Lab, because we think metrics model couldn't be initialized or innovated by one person or by one team. We think there would be more innovation from all over the world. So we provide such space to let you to invent your own metrics model, which could be focused on the specific technical areas, or it could be common for all the communities or projects. And this is how we get collaborations with the CHAOSS metrics model, because our CHAOSS metrics model, when they set up this new model, we can take a try on in the metrics model lab, Compass Lab, because in this Compass Lab, we have, what I mentioned, 50,000 project data site, and we have almost more than 100 metrics, independent with each other. You can create your own metrics models. And in the near future, we will launch out a new project management data dashboard, because when you have 4 metrics model output, you find some problem as a project manager or maintainers, you want to improve that. How do you do so? So we provide detailed metrics on each of single project. For example, I found my issue response time is too long. So what is the top 10 issues to cause this problem? We will prove that this data you can manage by yourself. Yeah. Okay. In the last 2 slides, I will give you a very fresh case. Do you remember this keynote shared by Jim yesterday? So it's called the Neutral Homes Big Guide Broad Investment. So in this slide, PyTorch investment in PyTorch surpassed TensorFlow. At the time of the establishment of PyTorch Foundation, just last year, September, just 1 year ago. And what is interesting thing is that in our next slides, we are gonna also provide analysis between these 2 projects. I swear we do nothing about these slides before, at least before yesterday.
Yeah, it's true that we were discussing, we indeed hide the names of the projects in the next slide, and then we said, oh, Jim did it, okay, so then that's okay. So then we go for that.
Yeah, actually we just finished our draft version last weekend, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, as Daniel mentioned, we at the very beginning, we decided to cover these 2 projects' name, but constantly, in terms of color, Jim even choose the same value we use.
That's good.
We have no choice. So, so here TensorFlow stands for, blue color stands for TensorFlow, and PyTorch stands for, red color stands for PyTorch. Okay, so first of all, we have to say both TensorFlow and PyTorch played a very important role in open source world, especially in deep learning framework. We are grateful for the grant contribution, no matter in industrial areas, but also in the economic areas. They are so important for everyone. We appreciate their contributions. So today we just mentioned some of our insight based on the metrics model we have in Compass. So first you can see I moved the date mentioned by Jim here last year, 2022, September. That's the surpass time slot happened about investment. And from this 3 metric model, first we can go through some comprehensive metric model, community activity. You can see that PyTorch exceed or surpass TensorFlow at the beginning of last year. And if we push time again back 7 months earlier, we use organization activity to describe the ecosystem collaborations among this community. We found that at this time slot, PyTorch exceed TensorFlow. And again, if we push time another earlier, 9 months, when we start monitoring collaboration development index, in short we call it CDI, we found CDI already participant what has happened, like this. So what we can do if you are a community manager in this case, so when I notice the CDI have such very obvious change, I need to find the root cause. What happened in my community? What I can do to make it, to stop it decline. And there's one important note to let you know that even for the CDI, the Collaboration Development Index, it is still a proxy indicator. it has some latency compared with what is really happened. In our recent research, we found the core contributors migration happened in the community. It's quite important to influence the ecosystem or the sustainability of a community. So in the near future, we may release this new metrics model in CHAOSS. Also, we will show the result on the Compass. Yeah. I think I just used the community manager's point of view, but what if you are investors? What if you are researchers or users of this software? What kind of value or insights you can get from this? I think it's very open questions. We can discuss later, maybe after meeting. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is a very powerful chart, I would say, the image and everything. Okay, so now summarizing, because we are running out of time, we would love to have some questions from you. So first of all, CHAOSS brought the great visibility to Grimoire Lab as a project, started to increase kind of adoption. I assume that if we go for the charts that you were showing before, probably we could see a similar growth when basically joining CHAOSS, so community index, collaboration index and others. So I would say a community is a really great amplifier of the mission and the vision, in this case of Grimoire Lab, or as well as a piece of software that is part of this, OSS Compass and others. So basically, it's being part of the community has been incredibly useful from a community perspective, and I would say from a business perspective as well. And then it's these numbers that we have here, right? Of course, well, before to the numbers, just to say community growth and adopters and everything is a challenge as well. So it's a good challenge to have, but it's a challenge in terms of how to make sense of all of the people's needs, feature requests, and so on and so forth. So it's about scaling with the community somehow. By the way, data is a really great tool to scale yourself, to understand what's going on in the community. So have a look at CHAOSS. And then it took, just as a summary here, it took again 16 years from research to production or test the market, and then we've seen that only in 4 years people have been building on top of this, forking the project and creating really great technology out there on existing things. So it's like you can take advantage of all of this history, right? So this is basically open source. And then if you can share some more thoughts on OSS Compass.
Yeah, that's our list here, because it's only take 1 year to build OSS Compass from scratch to a SaaS platform, and plus the theoretical platform. And during we create the whole things, we got a lot of support from CHAOSS communities, and also we got a lot of support from BTG engineers. So we never think it's some competitors with each other. We think CHAOSS and Grimoire Lab to give us a platform. And OSS Compass is a niche based on this platform. We're very happy to share the values produced by CHAOSS and Grimoire Lab, and we produce more values together moving forward. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I can say. I think
this is all.
I think we step into the last part.
Yeah. So you have links to everything, all the pieces of software, or that we didn't work on it that much.
Yeah.
Q&A time. Do you have questions?
Thank you.
You were first.
Thank you, and also thank you for showing analytics. It's always nice to see practical examples too. For organizations doing open source, a lot of times it's interesting to see how much contribution comes from the inside and how much comes from outside contributors to their open source projects. Do you have metrics and analytics for this?
Yes, exactly. Because as you can see, we provide organization activities. And in this metrics model, we'll show how many organizations have joined your communities, how much contributions has they made. So you can distinguish these organizations if it stands for your company, or we can stand for some outside collaborators from some outside companies. Yeah, we do have such metrics to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically part of the information that you can find in all of the repositories. Basically, the developer who's producing that event, a commit, an issue, something else, and then it's what we call counting potatoes. So it's basically you have, this developer belongs to this company.
Yep.
So then, after a while, you decide basically where that person belongs to. So then you can start having those numbers either from this company or this other company, and then you can compare, see trends. Specifically with Grimoire Lab and Sorting Hat, which is the tool, you can specify the time when that person left the company. So then you are basically accurately stating the activity for each of the organizations.
Yeah.
All right. Question?
Easy one. Yeah. Thanks. So, if a company were to adopt some of the metrics, say, just start with a very basic setup of some metrics, for example, what Susie just mentioned, do you have a rough idea what the time invest would be from scratch to some basic metrics?
So that depends on if you are willing to use some of the existing SaaS services, which is this. So you can go to SS Compass, you can go to Cauldron, you can go to LFX Insights. So there are many places, and then you will have insights on that. If you want to run this internally, so then it's okay, I want to take the technology, I want to install, I want to do this on-prem on my side. Maybe you can share how much time does it take basically to deploy Grimoire Lab or OSS Compass, because I'm biased here. So.
If you only care about several metrics, you rarely care about what you have done.
I didn't do anything, sorry.
Okay.
I just took my microphone to avoid noise.
If just the several metrics, it's quite simple. It just span like less than 1 month. It's go. Based on the context that you only care about 2 or 3 projects. But if you're considering I want to have a bunch of like a very big community which contains like 10,000 repos, then I don't think a quick setup will be happened. So what we recommend, like CHAOSS, like BTGR, they have some analysis service could provide some data directly to you. And OSS Compass, we also provide some REST API directly to some metrics or metrics model. You can fetch those data directly and only care about some communities you care about.
Yeah. In the usual deployment time, probably in less than a day, it's everything up and running. The only problem is basically about the gathering process.
Yep.
So if you are, gathering information from Baxilla, that's really heavy intense and so on, so that may take longer time. If you are going to git commit the Linux kernel, you just need to git log, and then you have all the history there. Git clone, sorry, and then you have all the history there. So it's way much faster. So that depends on the size as well of the number of projects that you are gathering. So it's mainly about that and restrictions on the other side. More questions? We are out of time, I guess. So it's all.
Well,
Thank you all for
thank
your
you.
time.